Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, let me introduce myself. My name is Yulia Pradinda. I am from University of North Sumatra. Today I want a presentation about morphology. After we know about phonetics and phonology, the next branches of linguistics that we have to know is morphology. So let me presentation about morphology. What is morphology? The definition of morphology is a branch of linguistics that studies about words or how words are formed from smallest unit called morphemes. So, simply it can define that morphology is the study about word formation. The object of the study of morphology is word. The biggest unit in morphology is word, and a morpheme is the smallest unit in morphology. Although morphology studies about a word formation, but the text is morphemes. The next is the elements. The elements used to form word. They are three: morphemes, and allomorph. Morph is simply the phonetic representation of a morpheme, or we can say that morph is how the morpheme is said. It's abstract. And the next is morphemes. Morphemes is the smallest unit in morphology, as I said in the object of study of morphology. So morphemes has two types. They are free morphemes and bound morphemes. Free morphemes, why it called as free morphemes? Because it can form words without help of others, and it gives the meaning or has meaning, or in other words, we can say that we already understand what is the meaning. For example, pen, book, walk, etc. In free morphemes, they are two types. They are lexical morphemes and grammatical morphemes. Lexical morphemes is when we a word that exists in dictionary, or we can say that the words that has meaning by themselves. For example, like book, go, eat, etc. And grammatical morphemes. It means like the words to function the specify a relationship between lexical morphemes to another. For example, like is, am, are, etc. The next is bound morphemes. Why it called as bound morphemes? Because it cannot form words without help of premorphemes, and it doesn't give the meaning. For example, less, as, and, etc. In bound morphemes, there are two types: inflectional morphemes and derivational morphemes. Inflectional morphemes, it changes the meaning, but it isn't. Uh, I mean, like, but it doesn't change the word class of. I mean, like the word class. Um, or part of speech of word. For example, pen as noun becomes pens as noun too. Pen in first word, it means one or a singular, and the second pens on the second word, it means plural, but the part of speech not changed. It's still same. It's still noun. The next is derivational morphemes. Derivational morphemes, it changes part of speech of word and also the meanings For example, read as verb becomes reader as noun. The next is allomorph. Allomorph is different forms of the same morpheme or basic unit of meaning. It's variation. The next is word formation. How a word are formed. These are the word formation. Actually, there are many word formation in morphology, like borrowing, compounding, blending, back formation, derivation, suffix and affix, invention, and etc. But in this time, uh, I just explain three of them. First, borrowing. Borrowing is borrow words from other languages, which is it comes into contact. Um, it means like the way of creating new word with taking over of words from other languages and using continually in society. For example, like guru from Hindi, Sheikh from Arabic. The next is compounding. Compounding is formed by joining two or more bases. It means like the way of creating a new word with joining of two separate words into a single form to describe something new. For example, noun plus noun like motorcycle. The third is blending. Blending is combination of two or more words to create a new one. For example, brunch, from breakfast and lunch. The next is the difference of word and morpheme. A morpheme is the smallest linguistic part of a word that can have a meaning. In other words, it's the smallest meaningful part of a word. A word can be defined as a meaningful element of a language. Unlike a morpheme, it can always stand alone. A word can consist of a single morpheme or a number of morphemes. For example, when we say replace, it's a single word, but it's not a single morpheme, but two morphemes, re and place. I think just all for today. Yes, that's all from me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.